All right, we have people coming in. Good afternoon and good morning, everyone, from respective places where you are joining us today. We're going to let folks enter the webinar and we will get started. We are looking forward to highlighting the great work in the Unaccompanied Children's Program and sharing more about opportunities in the Licensed Provider Network. Great, we have lots of hellos. Excellent, everyone is chiming in. We are thrilled that you are here with us. Thank you for taking time out of busy days to come and learn about the opportunities that we're going to be sharing with our colleagues that are joining us today. I actually, while folks are getting settled, since we have a tight time horizon to accomplish a lot of really good conversation, I'm going to kick us off and get started. So welcome, everyone. We are so glad that you were able to join us today. Please note that this session is being recorded to make sure that we can share it with other colleagues that were not able to join our live time, and we'll be sharing that out through our Peace Corps colleagues who will be posting it and making it available to others. So my name is Erin McDonald, and I am a colleague from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the Administration for Children and Families. I want to start off by thanking AmeriCorps and Peace Corps for their partnership and for giving us the opportunity to connect with you all today. I'm here to introduce you to the incredible work that is being done at our Licensed Provider Network to support unaccompanied children and to connect you with the various employment opportunities in these programs across the country. The Employer Spotlight will focus on permanent employment opportunities within the national network of over 90 different providers and over 200 different programs located across the United States, caring for unaccompanied children within communities. These are not federal agency positions, but instead are positions within organizations that receive resources from the federal government to do this work. So if we move to the next slide, we'll have a view of our agenda. So this is a brief overview of the topics that we'll be moving through today. If you have questions during the session, please feel free to post them in the questions box and we'll answer them during the Q&A portion. By the end of the session, you will have an understanding of the Unaccompanied Children Program and how the Licensed Provider Network fits in to the way that we do this work, and be able to provide an inside perspective of the work in terms of how the programs operate as a day in the life, and then really understand from one of our superstars about how that connects to both opportunities in the UC program and how that connects to experiences as Peace Corps and AmeriCorps members. So for the rest of the session, I do want to flag that we are going to be using the acronym UC to refer to unaccompanied children. So I'm going to hand it over to Natalia Becker, who is one of our lead managers in the Office of Refugee Resettlement Unaccompanied Children Program, who's going to share more information about the UC program and the Licensed Provider Network.
Okay, thank you so much for attending this webinar, everybody. We're so excited to have you here and hope that by the end of the session, you'll want to dive right into our mission critical work. So as Erin stated, my name is Natalia Becker. I am a project officer supervisor within the Office of Refugee Resettlement. The Office of Refugee Resettlement is an office of the Administration of Children and Families under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and it is responsible for the care and placement of unaccompanied children, or UCs, who arrive at the U.S. border. So we will be using the acronym ORR to refer to the Office of Refugee Resettlement for the remainder of the session. So a little bit about ORR. ORR has been caring for UC since 2002 and has cared for over 409,585 children. The UC program has always acted as a humanitarian effort to address the well-being and really the safety of all the children in our care. If you look at the overview, once a UC arrives at the border, They are then transferred to the care and custody of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services through ORR. ORR has the responsibility as a federal agency to care for children when they enter the United States alone. That means they've traveled from their home country to the United States without the care of an adult family member, and they're by themselves. The UC program is not part of the immigration system, but instead it is a part of the system that cares for vulnerable children in a manner that supports their development and well-being needs. While they are in our programs, we have to care for them from not just medical needs, food, but everything that as it goes into their safety and well-being and an expeditious return or unification with their family. Child welfare and safety are at the heart of our program. We strive to ensure each child is treated with care, dignity, and respect, and really work towards giving them the best preparation and best shot at a life here in the United States. Once in our care, ORR promptly places a UC in a least restrictive setting that is in the best interest of the child and takes into consideration the unique nature of each child's situation. So keep in mind, every single child has their own story and their own background, and we need to make sure that they are going to the best place for them. So what this is, it's an ORR call to opportunity. The majority of UC are cared for through a network of ORR-funded care providers who provide a temporary residential setting. We're not their parents, we're not their initial home, but we do everything that we can within our power to make them feel a sense of normalcy in a situation that is not. There has been an ongoing influx of children at the border, and there is a need for additional staff within the licensed provider networks to ensure that all UC receive the nurture and care that they deserve. These are also our children, so we need to take care of them. So what do we need right now? We're looking to help recruit qualified candidates who are preferably bilingual to fill an array of critical positions and provide trauma-informed and child-centered care and support services. Personal experience is so key to working with these children. While working in a UC residential program, you truly have the chance to make an impact on these children during a pivotal moment in their lives. You can really see how they are adapting, learning. They're like sponges that are trying to learn everything about being in the new country. So as an employee in one of these facilities, you get to see change and growth every single day. This is a lasting impact. Stability in the services offered in programs allows the programs to unify children with their sponsors quicker and leads to higher long-term success rates for health, education, and childhood development. Because not only are you building relationships and working with the children, you're also working with the sponsor. So preparing the family to where the children are going to or their sponsors to ensure that they get the best chance. They have the best resources available at their fingertips to be able to succeed. Okay, next slide. Who is an unaccompanied child? Most of the UC who arrive at the US border have made a long and difficult journey to the United States and have left their homes for a multitude of reasons. So here's a quick overview of how ORR categorizes a UC. The age of these children, their separation from parents and relatives, and the hazardous journeys they take and they make the UC especially vulnerable to human trafficking, exploitation, and abuse. That's why the UC residential programs are so critical to help protect the safety and well-being of these children. Our staff become experts in identifying any risk factors, red flag indicators for what these children have gone through, so are able to really provide the services necessary. So the UC profile in the fiscal year 2021. This slide, I think we can go to the next slide. So this slide provides an overview of the children we serve. As of this fiscal year, the majority of children in our care are 15 to 17 years old. And this is a critical juncture in a child's life where they are trying to shape their own identity. The majority of the UC are males, and the UC residential programs offer a multitude of services to help the unique needs of the different UC populations. We do also take tender age children. You might be surprised to hear, but there are children as young as 1-year-olds crossing the border on their own. So we are caring for these children, including infants, up until they age out of our system, with the hope that we can reunify them with their sponsors way before that. So UC referrals by fiscal year. This chart, I think, there we go. This chart depicts the number of UC referred to ORR over the past few years. This number continues to increase. To best serve this population, we really do need support and your support. This year has been unprecedented, as you can see in this slide. We are nearing already 100,000 UC who are seeking to enter the United States to unify with a family or sponsor in this year alone. So we have the greatest amount of our population is coming from Central America, with our top hitting country being Guatemala. But we also have El Salvador and Honduras. But we do provide services to children from the entire world. So wherever they're coming from, we want to provide them with the best services. And given what's going on in their countries, we see influxes. Right now, we are in an influx, and it's been continuing since the beginning of the year. And we can go ahead and move to the next slide. So the distribution of our current bed capacity, we have beds spread throughout the entire country, but the majority of the programs are in Texas. You can see a few sections over here. We have many programs in the southern border, but they are distributed throughout the country. We have a large facility that takes what we call a transitional foster care children, and that's generally for a more vulnerable population in New York. So you can see that on the map. But as mentioned before, these programs are spread throughout the country. Placing these children is important. We want to ensure that they're going to be, like I mentioned before, receiving a sense of normalcy. So placing them in the least restrictive setting according to their needs is going to be in the best interest of these children. Depending on their needs, there are shelters, which include licensed provider programs, transitional foster care homes, long-term foster care homes, and specialty programs. The majority of the UC are placed in licensed provider programs, which is the placement level we are looking to help staff. Okay, so these are the shelter programs and transitional foster care programs. We really need additional staff to be able to continue the services to these children. Okay, so our UC licensed care provider network, these programs must meet ORR requirements to ensure a high level of quality and care. So I'll dive a little bit more into the services provided at these programs in the next slide, but they do have to meet licensing requirements. They have to be regulated. They essentially have to provide the best services possible for these children to make sure that they're safe. And in the next slide, I do want to highlight that this network functions as an international humanitarian program with a domestic setting. By working in these programs, you are working to address international issues that are also directly connected to people and communities on the ground. The network of licensed care providers specializes in welfare and trauma-informed care in over 22 states. And most providers come from the private, nonprofit, and faith-based sectors and maintain strong connections with their communities. So most of our facilities are already tasked, or they task themselves with providing care to children, and these children are entering our country, so they are included in the services that they want to provide. UC are provided a continuum of care at licensed provider programs. Program staff are fundamental to this continuum. Providers offer all services to children within their programs rather than children participated in those services within the community, except for long-term foster care programs, which is not our focus for this session. These are children that are staying within ORR care for a longer time because there has been no identified sponsor for them in the United States. But during this session, we're focusing on those children who do have sponsors, and we are working to unification. Okay, so this slide shows a few services that are offered to UC, including shelter, foundational care, classroom education, acculturation and socialization, medical and mental health services, recreational and physical activity, and even vocational training. So although I won't go into too much detail to these services for the sake of time, additional information on these services is available through different providers, and we can definitely provide more details on how to engage with the providers later in the session. We're now going to show you a brief clip of what life looks like at one of our provider programs. The following clip shows what life is like inside a program in Southwest Keys, Casa Light. Looks like there's no sound.
See if we can pause and get the sound going.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Southwest Key. My name is Judith Dominguez. I'm the program director here at Lighthouse. When a child arrives, a case manager introduces the youth to our facility and begins the intake process. We assess the medical condition of each child, and our clinicians make any necessary treatment recommendations. We assign each child to a bedroom and introduce him or her to other children in our care. Many children arrive with few possessions and little clothing, so we make sure to give them fresh shirts, pants, socks, and shoes. We provide 6 hours of education each day, covering all basics including reading, math, social studies, science, history, and English.
Hi, my name is Bianca Ortiz. I'm a teacher at Casa Lighthouse. What I like best about teaching here is that there's diversity. There's these kids that they want to improve and they want to do more with what they already have. The kids' favorite part about going into classes is definitely the English portion. They like to learn the new language because they know it's something that they're going to utilize throughout their life.
Children also have access to counselors and services such as group and individual therapy, as many of our children have experienced trauma and endured difficult journeys. We have recreation areas so our kids can get outside and exercise. We know how important that is to children. They love to play basketball and especially soccer and enjoy free time with other children. Music is a big part of our day at Lighthouse. We have a room filled with guitars, keyboards, drums, and other instruments. Sometimes the children will even create a band and play for us. We also offer space for downtime in a lounge area so kids can watch TV and play video games. Each day, our children enjoy nutritional meals prepared in-house by our wonderful cooks. Our team at Lighthouse comes to work each day determined to serve and encourage those in our care. We focus on providing the guidance and compassion needed to prepare them for a productive life and open doors to opportunities.
Okay, so that was a little summary of the day in the life of our care providers. They provide so many services and get to build these lasting relationships. Children will remember them. So even after they've reunified, although our staff don't keep in contact with them, children do remember. They call, they try to visit, and it's just nice to see how much their experience in the programs really helps in the United States. But now I'll hand the floor over to Rachel Jacobs-Gaynor.
Great. Thank you so much, Natalia. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. This is particularly exciting for me as I am both a returned Peace Corps volunteer as well as a previous AmeriCorps volunteer. And I love talking about both of these volunteer experiences and how it plays into my work at ORR. Honestly, guys, it's something I could talk about for hours, but I'll try and just stick to 5 minutes today. So just a quick background on my journey and how I ended up at ORR. I graduated from a small liberal arts college in Michigan with my bachelor's in social work in 2005. And I knew I wanted to live in Washington, D.C., but wasn't sure how to get a job and had always loved the idea of AmeriCorps and working in a nonprofit. So I researched it and joined AmeriCorps as a case manager at Miriam's Kitchen, which is a breakfast kitchen that serves people that are unhoused in downtown DC. I loved my work there and really considered staying on as an employee. I talked to my bosses about it and was ready to take the job, but I really had a deep desire for living overseas and immersing myself in another culture. So after a year in AmeriCorps, I decided to move on to the Peace Corps. So I love the idea of Peace Corps because it integrated you so well into the culture where you were living. I didn't just want to move overseas and be a visitor in a culture. I wanted to truly learn the language and the culture and the people, and love the Peace Corps mission of first, serving people, second, learning about the culture and the people, and then third, sharing my culture to help people better understand Americans. So I joined the Peace Corps as a community action for health program volunteer in Zambia in 2007. And lived in a rural village for 2 years, working with a rural health clinic, teaching Zambians about prevention of AIDS and malaria and good hygiene and nutrition. But most importantly, I learned about Zambian culture and their love of storytelling and ate amazing food. And I met wonderful friends that I still keep in touch with today. I still look back on my experiences in both the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps as life-changing times. And it really instilled my love for working with people from other cultures and experiences than mine. So how did I get to ORR? I returned from Zambia in 2009, got my master's in social work, and then wanted to find a job where I could blend my love for other cultures and my love for social work together, but do it here in the US. Luckily, I had a friend in my master's program who worked for a grantee of ORR serving unaccompanied children called Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. And she told me about the program, and I immediately knew I wanted to work there. A job where I could be serving unaccompanied kids from all different cultural backgrounds, learning about their lives and stories, and helping them unify with sponsors who loved them and wanted to care for them in the US. It was exactly what I was looking for. So it was one of those experiences where you talk to someone and then you ping in your mind, okay, I'm going to go to this website and I'm going to keep looking at it and apply to every position. Luckily, I got a job at LIRS in 2011 and then moved on to my work at ORR in 2014 and now serve as the project officer supervisor overseeing our network of licensed shelter programs throughout the US, which you all just learned about from Natalia and the videos today. So I love my work serving the UC population, and I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking to you all about why I think you guys are the perfect people for our work at our licensed shelter programs and all of our programs throughout the network. So the experiences you learn from working in AmeriCorps and Peace Corps directly correlate to our UC work in so many ways. These jobs directly serve kids who have just come from a long, sometimes traumatic journey to the US, and we need dedicated workers who are excited about learning about these kids' stories and caring for them in the best way possible. AmeriCorps and Peace Corps teach you the skills of really listening to people and respecting each person's story. You'll hear beautiful stories of strength and pain and love from each of the kids at our shelters, and it will change you. Not only will they teach you about their culture, but you will be the face of the US for them. Some of the first people they experience coming into a new culture and country, and you'll directly impact their lives too. And most importantly, you provide them with the best services, whether that's listening to their story in a clinical session, or playing with them on the playground, or teaching them English in the classroom. It's really following the 3 goals of the Peace Corps. You serve them, you teach them about US culture, and you learn about them and their culture. It really is the best job, and I hope you all apply for jobs at our programs today. So Erin's going to walk you through exactly how to apply for the jobs in your areas.
Great, thank you, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel and Natalia. I am so impressed by the incredible people that work in ORR as our leaders and all of the different ways that they have found this is their home in terms of connecting with kiddos from all over the world and supporting them and their families. So with that, we are going to share a bit about kind of making real what Natalia and Rachel have shared with you today. So we have on the screen the range of role opportunities that are available currently and typically within the Unaccompanied Children Licensed Provider Network. All of these opportunities and roles play a significant role in the lives and the care of children that are in the custody of the Office of Refugee Resettlement while they're in process of being connected with their families and sponsors in the United States. So each program will have different roles to fill, but the typical roles, as I've shared, are on the screen here. So some of those roles include case managers, clinicians, youth care workers, educators, and medical coordinators. So depending on the program, the qualifications for these roles might be slightly different given the needs of the program or the state in which they're located in. So we encourage you to look specifically at those provider websites. So how to do that? So we have partnered with the Association for Children's Residential Centers, or ACRC, to create a webpage where you can find a listing of all of the UC licensed provider programs that have open employment opportunities. So we have been able to really pull all of these pieces together to make it easy for you to find opportunities that align with your skills and interests and geographic location of interest. So once you're on the ACRC website, you'll be able to directly navigate to the program's HR or recruitment webpage to find out more details about their open positions, qualifications, and how to apply. We also are going to be posting the website link in the chat, and we'll also be sharing additional materials after the webinar over email and posting it through our partners at the Peace Corps to make sure all of this is readily available to you to look at for opportunities now and moving forward. So with that, we have a few minutes before we wrap our time today to respect everyone's time and next steps in what they need to turn attention to. And I'm going to ask my colleagues to help us identify any burning questions that we want to make sure that we answer.
Hey everyone, thanks for all of your questions today. For all of our panelists, I'll flag a few themes that we've seen pop up in the questions. One of them is what specific languages are needed to work at these different sites? And if you're not bilingual, is it still possible to apply for one of these positions?
Great question. Natalia, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So it's definitely helpful if we have staff members who are bilingual in English and Spanish, but not the only language that we're looking for. Depending on the locality of the facility, we have some facilities that take a lot of children from the Middle East or even from India, Africa. So being bilingual can only, improve that situation for the care that's being provided to children. It also depends on the position that's being applied for. You don't always have to be bilingual to have these positions, but it's definitely a best practice, but I would still reach out and see if there's any work that can be done, even if you're not bilingual.
Great, thank you. Another common question that we had in the chat was folks wondering if all of these positions are remote or if they are all in person.
So currently, depending on the facility, some work has been able to be done remotely, but it is direct care that is provided to children. these programs they're 24/7 programs. You know, you're actually taking care of children. They live there. So a lot of the work is going to be in person. And with the hours, I'm not saying that you would be working 24/7. There is shift work involved. But yeah, a lot of it would be direct care.
Great, thank you. And another common question that we're seeing is, do you have to be a returned Peace Corps or AmeriCorps volunteer to apply for these positions?
No.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Sorry, Natalia. No, you do not. We accept anyone. And so if you all have other people that you think may be a good fit for this, feel free to pass the information on. But we obviously think that AmeriCorps and Peace Corps volunteers would be great fits in our network as well in the shelters.
Great, thank you. And just being mindful of time, I'll just ask one more question that popped up a few different times as well from folks who were asking if there is a way to apply to be a sponsor of any of the UCs. I know that wasn't the focus of today's webinar, but there were a few questions on that.
Yeah, so there is information on how to become a foster parent for our kiddos on our website. So if you go to the Office of Refugee Resettlement and type that into Google, you can find more information on the program, and you would be working directly with the network of providers across the country. So it really would depend on if there is a provider within your area that provides foster care and that you can join. So you'd be working directly with our grantees that provide the services.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so with that, we are going to respect everyone's time and appreciate those that were able to stay longer. So I'm just going to take us out. So thank you again for joining us today. And thank you, Rachel and Natalia, for sharing your personal experiences as well as your expertise with us as leaders within the Office of Refugee Resettlement. It is a fierce group of people that are doing incredible work for children. And we hope many of you continue to look at opportunities and find opportunities to join us if that is the right path for you. So a reminder that please navigate to the ACRC webpage to get connected with provider programs and open positions. We are also going to make the resources that we discussed available to all of you by email and through our partners at Peace Corps. And I want to thank Peace Corps and AmeriCorps for the incredible partnership and letting us come and speak with you all today and be connected to all of the incredible work that you are doing respectively in different communities in the United States and abroad. So thank you all for all of the mission critical work that we are all doing for children and really appreciate your time and attention.
Thanks, everyone.